On this month's Second Week Cinema, we talk about people that did some bad things.
We rank the original Lord of the Rings trilogy.
We discuss our bad habits.
And our review of The Vast of Night. All coming up on the Segway Podcast. Hey, welcome to the Segway.
The best thing that happened to you on a Thursday.
That's right, recording live, social distantly for the last time.
Yeah, this is going to be the last time we're going to do this. Well, for convenience sake, it probably should have been not today either.
Yeah, we actually are already recorded next week's episode, which wasn't socially distant, but we didn't want Charlie to have to drive an hour back-to-back nights. It's just too much.
2 days in a row. No. So we decided to take advantage of our new technology and use it one more time.
Right. This is like one of those quirky movies where it's like filmed out of sequence.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's cool because I can tell you this without a shadow of doubt in my mind. This month's Week 3 VIP is going to be insane. Like, fantastic content.
Yeah. So this VIP, I don't want to talk it up too much because I'll wait for next week's episode, but I'm glad we got to do it.
We won't get too much into it, but for all you people who like acting in Broadway, stay tuned. Dude, terrifying things happened today. I haven't even told Claire. So I was gonna make my smoothie. This is kind of like a thing now. You guys should know this. If you listen, there's this smoothie I make. Charlie tried it. You liked it, right?
Oh yeah, it was good. It was good.
So it's like 12:30, and I'm working from home the first 2 days of the week. So I'm like, I'm gonna go make this smoothie. So my blender, when I'm done using it, I push it against the back of the wall because that's, I guess, what you're supposed to do. So I'm reaching for my blender and I pull it towards me, and then I see a little black object scurry and hide behind my toaster, which is also conveniently pushed up against the wall. And I think I said 3 swear words, and not the swear words that would like make a sentence, but just like, oh shit, fuck, damn, like it was like and I just froze, and it was a spider. It was a huge spider.
It was like a Key and Peele sketch.
It was. I feel like our Instagram stories has been too much about that type of stuff, so I didn't do it. But I did capture it, and I did walk it all the way to the back of my yard and let it go. I sent a picture to my sister, who's an entomologist, which I think I've said that before. She does insects, but she does have like a soft spot for spiders. She had a tarantula for like 12 years. It was just a classic jumping spider. It had like a very defined white marking. It looked like a smiley face upside down on its back.
I thought it looked like a heart. It was cute.
Yeah, from the angle, I did send it to you, didn't I? From the angle that I was looking at, it looked like a smiley face, but it was huge, and I was terrified. But I took him outside.
Man, I like jumping spiders.
Why?
Because they don't want to do anything except for eat flies
and jump on your face.
You don't want nothing to do with
If there was a jumping spider the size of my cat, I would probably just commit suicide. If that was anything I could potentially run into in the wild. Like snakes, fine. Alligators, sure. Jumping spiders the size of cats, I'm out. I'm clocking out.
Harikari right on the spot.
Yep.
I went to Starbucks today and I got a new drink they have, which was fucking killer. Guava juice, passion fruit, and coconut milk.
Was there any coffee in it?
No.
Okay. Cool.
It was really good though.
Maybe that's what fucked your stomach up.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was just too much
acidity. Maybe
it wasn't acidic at all. It was beautiful. It was very good.
Was it suggested to you by Ghost Type Alex by chance?
It was indeed.
All right, I saw that.
So we're bringing back one of my favorites. I know you like Would You Rather, but this one's one of mine that I totally forgot about for a long time. I was going through our list, and I was like, done messed up. What the fuck is that? Oh, I love that one. That's fine. Remember I talked about the guy that killed the other guy in jail?
I remember it took you a while to learn how to do this segment, because at first you were like, yeah, there's a deer hanging out with a cow. Oh, that's it.
I still think
no,
that deer messed up. He didn't know what was going on.
No, it was the swirly of doom. Also, let's just say this now. Done messed up it's like a funny, crazy story of somebody doing something stupid or wrong. It's not meant to be overly serious. Like, we're never going to dive into, like, incredible, heart-wrenching crime stories about, like, somebody committing mass murder and be like, oh, he messed up. Like, that's not it. Because clearly there are things happening right now involving people, very serious matters that you could say potentially done messed up more than anybody we're going to talk about today. But there's like a certain level that makes this segment. It's not meant to be like heart-wrenching or I don't know what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying, like, there's like I keep wanting to use Michael Rappaport's phrasing, so I'll use it. There's a certain je ne sais quoi to the type of person that makes it done messed up. It's like you messed up, but it's not like you're not overly altering somebody's life or, you know, an entire race's life.
Although I think when we first did this, when you broke this story, it was a done messed up, which was the Epstein story.
Okay, maybe it was serious back then. we both grew into it. I'm just saying
we learned.
It's not supposed to be that type of messed up.
No, mine's very lighthearted.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, so God, where did I see it? It's a TikTok. This mother that had like 2 or 3 kids in a park, and she's playing, and she's letting her kids ride in a Power Wheel. You know, like those Power Wheels you have. And this old lady is walking, and she's like complaining to the mom about her kids playing in the park, and she's like, "It's a park, they're playing." And she goes, "And I don't like them driving that thing without a license." And the mom is like, "It's a car. It's a toy car." And that's the end of the TikTok. But honestly, that elderly lady, she's I think she's got a couple screws loose. She's messed up, I think. She done messed up there.
Do you think it was 100% real, or do you think it was special for the TikTok?
Like it was staged?
Yeah.
No, I think that was 100% real.
I hope so.
Yeah. I will post the TikTok in the article. Just because it's something you really got to see. It's like one of those jokes, like you had to be there jokes, but like everyone gets to be there.
Yeah, it's true. Those are the best jokes. Inside, but everybody's on the inside.
Yeah.
Except for your friends that don't have internet.
Well, you probably don't have them anyway.
Those people in Antarctica. Or, I guess, penguins. Remember when I said this wouldn't get too serious? It kind of borderlines on it. So kind of remember everything I just said during that soliloquy? Fuck that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I know you don't like this guy, so I think you'll get some enjoyment out of...
Oh, is it Drew Brees?
Yes, it's Drew Brees.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's Drew Brees.
Oh, fuck.
Listen, a big thing in the world is when you don't agree with something, you flip it to make it fit your agenda, right? Mm-hmm. Agenda driven. Yeah. So back in 2017, when Colin Kaepernick of the San Francisco 49ers started taking a knee for police brutality, I realize I'm breaking everything I just said. I apologize. It was misconstrued by people as that he was saying, like, he was going against the army. You know, he was going against the military and the flag.
I remember that.
And he would tell you, no, it's about police brutality. And the people that also knelt with him and stuck their fist in the air would be like, no, it's about police brutality. And he even went out and reached, I believe it was like a member of the Navy that he spoke to before he did it. And they were like, yeah, you know, that's cool. Do it. I think I'm paraphrasing. But he pretty much said that. So fast forward 3 years and, you know, we're all in this situation together, trying to learn, trying to grow. And that got brought back up naturally because that was one of the sparks for our generation. You know, like the 90s, you had Rodney King. We had Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. And we had, I mean, there was a lot more serious stuff than that. But there was so much support among like players and teams, NBA, NFL, not so much Major League Baseball. They're worrying about their salaries right now and they kind of sound like babies. But then Drew Brees came out and flipped the narrative back to the same thing that they were misconstruing in 2017. So he said in a post, "I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. What you do by standing there and showing respect to the flag with your hand over your heart, it shows unity." So dude got lit up. His own teammate, Michael Thomas, coming at him. Player, like it's like all the memes of like, imagine his offensive line on that first play. They just like stand up. Imagine if they took a knee and then he just got pummeled. I wonder, like, I'm a strong believer in that people can grow. I think people can change. I think people can learn. I think people can grow. So in 2017 to 2020, he didn't grow. He didn't change. But so you're going to tell me in like 4 days, he all of a sudden had this epiphany about unity and stuff? Because he did come out with an apology, but it was so like, I don't want to die this year. Like, I don't want to get a sack on every single play that and there's like a certain level of political correctness in it as well. But just when it seemed like everybody was coming together sports wise around everything happening, Drew Brees one of the most famous and I don't want to say most talented, one of the most famous white quarterbacks currently playing came out and said something like that. And it just felt like it just undid so much unity and growth over the past 3 years.
Well, in his head, he's been hit so many times that in his head, he thought it was 2017 again.
He must have. But so he apologized, and he can grow, and I won't hold that against him forever. It just seems like 3 years, nothing happened, but I'm supposed to believe in 4 days or whatever, something happened. Whatever. But you still done messed up.
He needs to take some NyQuil and go back to sleep.
All right, this segment is here to stay as long as we keep experiencing the same things in their entirety. Maybe this will only last 2 more times. Who knows?
It's hard. It's hard to find things though. Like this was a stretch harder than I thought it was going to be to find this topic.
So let me just say this: we're doing a rank and file again, just like we did Spider-Man. Sam Raimi.
Yes.
All right, sorry, Logan. Sam Raimi, not Rami or Rami or whatever I said. Sam
You
Raimi.
said Rami.
Whatever. Sam Raimi, his Spider-Man trilogy, and we did the Harry Potter films, the OGs. So, this week, we are doing the Lord of the Ring films, not The Hobbit. We're doing the original 3 Lord of the Ring films, Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and Return of the King, which I think we should make sure to say the names. Because when we're like, in the third spot is number 2, or in the second spot is number 3, it's kind of like, oh, what are you saying?
Yeah,
so
confusing.
From here on out, let's use Two Towers, Fellowship of the Ring, and Return of the King.
Yeah, I agree.
So the way we do this is we start at the bottom and work our way up to the top. It was a lot more exciting when there were 8 options with Harry Potter. 3, yes. You can start kind of narrowing it down after you do your first one. And if you listen for context clues.
You didn't figure out until end.
Oh, because I'm stupid. I thought we were going 0 for 3 when there was statistically no possible way for that to happen last time. But without further ado, let's jump right in. So my bottom film, which by the way, I think they're all great. I think they're all very good films.
Oh, yeah. Your bottom bitch film.
Yeah. I saw this one in theaters with my dad. And my mom was having like a party, and my dad's like, let's go to the movies. So we went and saw my 3rd out of 3, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
I understand where you're coming from that.
It, in a different way than Spider-Man 3, it felt just like too much going on. And it felt very long. I saw it when came out in 2003, so I saw it when I was 11. It felt like there's too much going on. And you know this, I try to stay as consistent as possible. I don't love the endings of things. Like,
yes.
the hard effort of tying all the loose ends, whether successful or not, is just very overwhelming. And there are things I like. I like the big spider battle.
I love that scene.
I think his name is Shelob, which, if that's true, that is a Jewish-ass spider.
It's not.
What is it, Shelob?
No, it's not Shelob.
Look it up right now. Look it up.
You know what? My father is such a crazy Lord of the Rings fan. Honestly, I'm tempted to go ask. Shalrog.
No, that's the dragon.
No, that's Smaug.
Oh. No, that's the other dragon. I'm saying the fire dragon that kills Gandalf. Or doesn't kill him, but he...
That's a Balrog.
Okay. Listen, it says right here, Sam returns and injures Shelob, driving her away. It says, into the lair
I think you're putting a Jewish spin on it. I think it's
all right, how do you say this? Shelob.
I think it's like Shalog.
Yeah, Shelob. You want some bagels with cream cheese.
Some smoked salmon.
Shelob, yeah, Shelob. Let me click on it, make sure it's the right thing. I swear, it's a fictional demon in the form of a giant spider who likes bagels. Regardless, I like the fight with the spider because spiders terrify me. I love the army of the undead, but it takes so long. It's like, maybe this is an issue I have with the film. I feel like the replay value is very low because you got to watch the other 2 first, and I'm going to offend so many people right now. By the time I watch the other first 2, I'm good. Like, it's cooked. Like, I'm starting to get burned in the oven by the 3rd one. You got to take me out.
3rd act of the 2nd movie, you're like, oh, I'm about done.
So then once the 3rd one comes, it's like you got me on the beginning. I get to see Gollum become Gollum. Oh, that's cool. Schmeagol, whatever. But by the time, I'm like, all right, Spider's gone. I want this undead army. And then like 2 hours later, I get it. I'm checked out.
So my number 3 spot is, it's hard for me, but I think my number 3 spot is the Two Towers. Now, there are some amazing scenes in the Two Towers. I think I'm biased because I think I saw all of these with my dad in the movie theater. One of the few things we got to see to completion. But he didn't like it, so I kind of didn't like it as much.
I get that.
Even though it had that Battles of Helm's Deep, which I fucking love. I think I'm just biased because my dad didn't enjoy it as much.
Yeah, but that's like a shared experience.
Yeah.
It's like if you listen to a CD during like a breakup, you might not like it as much if you didn't. You know what I mean? So I think that's totally valid that shared experience where he didn't like it as much could impact you in that way. You could probably dive in deeper to find out, like, draw some separation, but you don't have to. It's just a movie. I think that's fair.
Like I said, there are some really cool things, like the wolf battle and the Battle of Helm's Deep. There's some great moments in it. You're right, like you said before, I enjoy all these a lot. But yeah, it's my number 3.
Oh man, okay. I'm doing an audible. I'm doing an Omaha. I think my forehead just got bigger. I had these two switched, but I'm doing it because I always read the plots to the films we diagnose. Even all 8 Harry Potters. I read them all on Wikipedia because I don't have time to watch all these movies again. So I use that as a reminder. I don't want to forget big things that happen. So when I wrote my list, this was not number 2, it was number 1. But I changed my mind. Number 2 for me is The Two Towers. It's the one I watch the most. I love the soundtrack. I think the music is great in all 3 films, but I think specifically the soundtrack for The Two Towers is the best. I love everything with Treebeard. I think that's awesome. And like I think one of the funniest parts of the whole trilogy is when Gollum's talking to himself, right? Like those cuts.
That won something for the Oscars. I know that did.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that Andy Serkis? Is that his name?
Andy Serkis.
Yeah, he does a great job with that. And that whole scene, like, it's funny now as an adult, but I remember when I was a kid, I thought that was hysterical. The way they shot that, I thought it was done very well. And I mean, you hit on it when you were talking about, but the Battle of Helm's Deep is just, I mean, probably and I haven't seen a lot of battle movies, if I'm being honest, but I would say that's probably one of the best battle scenes like ever in the history of film. It lasts forever, but it's entertaining. Dude, when Legolas like rides that the shield down like a sled, yeah,
that's sick.
Like, he's so badass, and it's just like that overwhelming fear of like that they're gonna lose, and having the kids, and then everybody just grabbing the swords. But then that like miraculous moment,
they're about to lose. It's almost done.
Yeah, and that moment where you just see Gandalf and the sunlight's coming out. It's just like.
It's so long, and you forget about Rohan's coming. That's what I think this makes it so special.
Yeah, that's just good storytelling, where you kind of lay the seeds down, and then you forget about it, and then it doesn't come out of nowhere because they did their part as a storyteller to lay the seeds down, but then you forget, and then it happens, and it's just like, oh my god. I think that's cooler than even when the Undead Army comes in, just because it's Gandalf. Or Dumbledore from the 6th movie. Same person, I swear to God. So for number 2, for me, which was my number 1 until 5 minutes ago, is The Two Towers.
My number 2 film is your number 3, Return of the King.
Yes, dude, we are back on track. Continue.
Yeah. Return of the King, I think it's a really good movie. I think probably that also won an Oscar for something, I think.
It was nominated for 11 Academy Awards, Best Picture, Best Director. I'm not reading all 11.
That's fine.
At the 76th Academy Awards in 2004, the film won all the categories for which it was nominated, and it holds the record for highest Academy Award totals, along with Titanic and Ben-Hur.
Fuck, it won 11 awards?
Damn, that's crazy.
God, damn, I knew it won something.
It also won 4 Golden Globes for Best Picture, for Drama, and Best Director. Oh, including, because, 2 does not equal 4.
But yeah, that's, so, I agree with that. It's a good film. I don't know. I guess it doesn't need to suck its dick that much, but it's good. It's a strong film. It sows up the seeds of the series, I think, fairly well. It does its best with what it can, and it even with that weird kind of slow-mo jumping on the bed scene at the end, which almost looks like it's going to go into a porno. Even with that, I still think it's a strong film.
So does Frodo die at the end? Is that where the boat's going, or where do they go?
I don't know.
I never got that. I didn't know if that was like symbolism for him going to heaven or.
Well, elves don't die, so no.
Well, but Frodo is a hobbit.
Well, no, I know, but he's not that old.
Yeah, but I thought it was like he exerted so much energy. He was on that Padme shit. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think
He's
he
just
died.
like clocking. Okay, but okay. I didn't know as a child, and I don't know now.
I think
It's
they're
like
retired.
the undying. They're going to Vegas. They're going to Florida.
Yeah, I think they're retiring and going to the Bahamas, man. I think that's all it is.
Good for them. I think they call it like the undying land, but I don't know.
They call it something like that.
Florida, the undying land, same shit. So clearly, we both have the same number one. I feel like I've gone first every time, and I've kind of stolen the discussion of the film. So I'll let you talk about clearly the best one first.
And that is Fellowship of the Rings.
Yes.
Oh my god. So, there's so much to talk about this movie because it's so fucking good. The first, I think, third. You like beginnings a lot.
That's my favorite. It's my absolute favorite.
I absolutely understand that in this because it's so fun. It's such a fun movie to start. It's opening up into this new world, and like it's not a perfect world, but it's fucking awesome. There's like light magic. It's great. Yeah, go ahead.
I love learning about the characters and the beginning of a journey because that's always the most. Not that I don't like seriousness, but it's the lightheartedness of it. It's like when Merry and Pippin decide to go with him. They don't know what happens in the third movie. You know, they don't know about Treebeard. And it's just like it's like that seeing that switch in this film where it's like they're cooking, you know, nice crispy bacon, and then but they gotta or the mushrooms. It's just kind of like, and then once they start being hunted, you know what I mean? Like there's so many great memorable scenes, like Strider, who's really Aragorn, and then the pillows. There's a really good meme where they're showing him stab the pillows, and then Aragorn's like, all right, we fooled him, and then he looks behind himself and there's just all these pillows. He's like, oh shit. And
oh man,
the creation of the Fellowship, you know, you have my
yes.
sword, you have my axe, you have my bow, you know, it's great. And Mr. Anderson's in that part. Elrond, yes. Is that his name? I don't know. Not Riverdale, it's Rivendell.
Rivendell.
Right. Don't get that mixed up, Jughead.
And then browsers in the background.
And then I think probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire trilogy when Gandalf is facing the Balrog.
Yes, that's awesome. And they're running through that passageway.
Oh
too.
Yeah, dude. It's fantasy. It's not horror. But when either Merry or Pippin, I don't remember which one, knocks the skeleton in the book down, and then you just hear it banging all the way, and then you just get that impending doom that all the orcs are coming, which orcs are absolutely terrifying.
Yes. It's Merry.
Is it Merry? That is such a good and terrifying and suspenseful scene. And I have no memory of this place. But then it has one of the most like misquoted lines ever. The fly you fools. But everybody's like, run you fools.
Fly you fools. Oh, I love that line too with Gandalf. He goes, you fool of a took, which is his last name. Mary's last name. I just love how that's delivered. And it's got that scene with Frodo getting stabbed, but he's okay because he has the mithril on.
Yeah.
Oh, spoilers.
It's been, I think, like 19 years.
Yeah, but oh my god. I don't think there's a moment of this movie that I don't enjoy.
I was terrified when Bilbo's face goes all fucked up at the beginning, when he sees that ring.
If I watch it late at night, it's when they reunite in Rivendell. I mean, late at night still sometimes. If I know the scene's coming, I gotta look away from it.
Yeah. Also creepy when that lady goes full-born, like, when he's, like, looking into the water and sees what would happen, and she, like, gets all creepy. That used to freak me out.
You did find the one part of the movie that I don't enjoy.
Is that Liv Tyler?
I think so. No, I don't think it. I don't.
Either way, what we're trying to
names.
say is that the Fellowship is the best of the three films. It's exactly what I was saying though. You're the least burnt out because it's the first one. Because they're so. It's like, it's heavy. I'm thinking about the food you were talking about eating, but it's heavy. This isn't like whipped cream. It's like, it's dense content. So by the time you get to Return of the King, you're like, I need a bathroom break. Like, it's just a lot. It's a lot. My sister and I actually went back. I think we went day to day watching all three, but I've never sat down and watched all three in a row nonstop, and I probably won't.
I have. I think I have.
And I bet you liked Fellowship of the Ring the best.
I did.
You did. I was going to say, if you didn't, then
I
we have a
did.
problem with this list. But that is our rank and file of Lord of the Rings.
So we have a new segment that we're launching. It's similar to embarrassing stories, but it's not quite that. It's something that we do that we know we shouldn't, and that's bad habits.
Yeah, I think this is going to last longer for me than embarrassing stories because I have a lot of bad habits.
I have a lot of embarrassing stories.
I have this habit where I stay out late at night, and then when people walk by, I kill them. It's a terrible habit. It's terrible.
Oh shit! You just admit to me. So
Yeah. Likewise, I also can't finish a White Claw. I can't. That'll be a story for another day. So what is your bad habit that you're bringing to the table, Charlie?
So the one I've got today, I think is probably my worst habit, and that's at night. After dinner, Steph's usually getting ready for bed. I have this habit. I've had this all my life where I get up and I binge eat, and I don't stop. It's not even like a midnight snack or anything like that. It's not like a couple cookies. It's like just eating until I can't breathe.
Wait, so this is after dinner before bed?
Yeah.
Like right after dinner,
I don't
or
know.
is it like right before bed?
It's closer to bed, like
okay,
midnight. 1.
Is it It's a bad habit because then like Steph's like, all right, well, I'm ready to cook that roast for dinner tonight, and you're like, about that roast.
No, but I've gotten she's like, I'm gonna have that for those leftovers.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm gonna have those leftovers for lunch. I'm like,
no, you ain't.
No, you're not.
No, you ain't.
It's not healthy. It's not a good thing to do. It's not good mentally. It makes me feel bad about myself. And yeah, I do it. I don't know why I do it.
It's hard not to eat before bed. Have you thought about trying just have dinner later or going to bed earlier? Like narrowing the time frame between dinner and sleep?
Yes, I've tried that, but there's certain restrictions. Like, Steph doesn't like to eat too late at night.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's harder to go to bed. Like, Steph works all day. We don't only have a limited amount of time together, so it's harder to go to bed at 9 because we still want to hang out.
One trick that and it only works if you let it work. It's not foolproof, but I've used it a couple times. Sometimes I say, fuck you, brain. But sometimes I tell myself, well, why do you eat? You eat for energy. You're going to bed. Why do you need energy to go to sleep? That's something, because I used to smash ice cream and make sandwiches before sleep as well. So that's something that I started trying to tell myself. It's kind of well, you eat to have energy. You're going to sleep. You don't need that.
I've tried drinking
water,
a shit ton of water. I've tried drinking a thermos of water, but I'm it doesn't help because I still eat after that. I don't know. I think it's probably more serious than what we could actually solve right now than more than just a bad habit.
That's fair, but it's an honest one and it's a habit. It is what it is. Yeah. Mine's a little less serious, but potentially a lot more annoying for everybody in my vicinity. Apparently, Claire is the only person close enough to call me out on this, but it makes me wonder how many people in my world want to fucking break my neck when I do it.
God. I wonder if I'm gonna know it when you say it.
I have this terrible habit where I pick my fingernail with another finger. Sometimes I'll use my left hand or something to pick one of my fingernails. I used to bite my nails. I actually don't bite my nails as much as I used to because that's gross. You're putting, your nails and whatever's, underneath them in your mouth, which is really stupid because the only reason I started biting my nails is because my best friend in 3rd grade bit his nails. I'm like, why is he doing that? And then I tried it and here I am at 28. So instead of biting my nails, it's mostly my thumb. My thumb is typically my picking nail if it's the same hand. But the biggest culprit are my thumbs. I'll take my pointer finger and I will pick at the corners of my thumbnails, my inner thumb nail. I'll pick at it with my index finger. And if I start sometimes nothing happens if there's not much nail there, but if I can start slicing a little piece of the nail off so it turns into a hangnail, that can be a day-long activity. On my drive to work, I just start hatching it, and then by the time I'm trying to go to bed, it's ready to come off. And then sometimes it bleeds, and sometimes I just start ripping the skin off. But it's a really good feeling when you get it off. And but this is when I knew it was a terrible habit. There was actually one time I was tired, but I wouldn't let myself go to sleep until I got it off. And I was like, why am I doing this? But it makes a clicking sound, You probably can't hear that.
It
makes a clicking sound, and sometimes it'll be like watch TV, and I'm just clicking, and she'll just be like, "Stop it, stop it."
Listening to this was like fucking watching a Saw movie.
Oh, I mean, I don't do that. I can't finish a White Claw. But there's nothing like, it's just I shouldn't do it. I should just clip my fingernails with nail clippers and be an adult. But I don't wanna. I'm gonna keep doing it. I just have to do it quietly or wait till she falls asleep. But I wonder if like my people at work, I wonder how often I do without realizing it, and they just want to fucking Tyler stop it, but they don't. We're not close enough, so they don't.
Maybe they'll hear this episode and be like, "I gotta confirm."
I know Cedric's gonna come to me like, "Dude, you gotta stop." And if he hears me based on where he sits, yeah, this is a big problem. So that is our first edition of the new segment, Bad Habits. Alright guys, it is second week cinema time. Hopefully next month we'll be getting a second week scene as things open up. It's still a little bit soon, a little bit early. Most events are still canceled or haven't been created yet, so hopefully next month we'll get you a second week scene. But for now, we are focusing on second week cinema, which is the Amazon Prime original and free to stream, The Vast of Night, which is an American science fiction film directed by Andrew Patterson. This is his debut. This is his first film. And It's starring Sierra McCormick and Jake Horowitz. Basically, this is a 1950s style alien movie where this couple, well, they're not really a couple, these two kids hear something over the transmission on the radio that they can't explain. They get some information from callers, and they go to investigate what people are saying. There's something in the sky.
Plot. Okay. I just want to start out and say, I think this movie was interesting at some points.
Yeah.
It really took too long to get to the meat of the movie, though. And I think that's maybe more of a pacing thing. But also could be, I don't know. It talks about how they told the story. I think the actual idea of this story is a really cool idea.
Yeah. I think it's a very standard alien film told in a unique way.
Yes. And I think it could have been really good. It could have been
something I didn't look up that would be interesting. Actually, I can look it up right now. What is the budget of this film? Y'all not gonna tell me? Are they keeping it a secret? Was it $5? Yeah, I don't see it on Wikipedia, so it's not real. It was very simple. It was there's a lot of things that I can tie into cinematography, and I will touch on harder. I think in terms of plot, this doesn't really fit plot, but I'm going to say it here. It was filmed, there's transitions like you're watching a TV special like The Twilight Zone.
I was going to wait for the cinematography.
I'll just say that because it is like kind of a device with the plot.
Yes.
They do a really good job with the 50s vibe. 50s vibe is...
especially with the language.
Yeah, the dialect is excellent. They spend a lot of time trying to get you into the mindset of this small town. I think they spend too much time. We'll get to that in pacing. But they really, like, the first, 15 minutes, you're just following around these two kids, seeing these people that you're never going to see again. But they give you that small town vibe. Like, they keep saying the same things. It's the same drama. They ask them the same... Every person asks them the same question. It's like the collective unconsciousness of this... They all know the same... They all know something about each other. Did you find that dead rat? Or did you... it's like it's a small New Mexico town. And it's just... They're like, all right, this is a small town. They really hit, it's kind of a plot point going forward, but it like the whole town is gathering for a basketball game. It's like if there's an event happening in town, 95% of the town is going to be there. So we're following the handful of people that aren't at that event. Yeah,
but what you're saying is very immersive. Like you knew a lot about this town.
Right. Do you have you kind of started this. Do you have a big issue or a major issue with the plot that you want to hammer or anything like that?
I think they spent too much time setting up the town, honestly. I don't think they needed to do as much as they did. I almost felt a little bit like filler at a certain point.
Yeah, because the movie's, I think, almost exactly an hour and a half, and it doesn't get to... It's like 25 minutes in before the major events even remotely start happening, and that's a long time for the trigger to happen in terms of screenwriting. So here's one of my big issues with the plot. I think there's a parallel between how the story is told and the theme of the story. So it's a radio. They get a transmission on the radio. Which, what is the radio? It's like our podcast. It's an audio format. It's an audio medium. So they're taking, the story revolves around this audio format, right? The radio. So the creepiness is coming in through the radio. So how does the film making parallel with that? The narrative is pushed by audio. If somebody tells a story, you don't see the story. You're watching the reaction of the characters as the story is told. It's like sitting around a campfire hearing a story. You have the main creepiness of the movie being an audio event, and everything that pushes the plot and the narrative forward is somebody calling into the radio, or they're visiting somebody, and you're just in that room for the entire period of the story listening to the story. And it's cool. I get the symbolism. I get the parallel between the theme and the structure of the story, but you're not playing to the strength of films. Like the idea of film is show don't tell, and it's you can go wherever you want, whenever you want. So when somebody's telling you a story, you can go there and we can see what they're telling us and we can live it out by seeing. Now I understand it could have been a creative direction or creative choice for them to create that parallel because it works. It does work. But it's still my job to call it out. And even if they made that decision that the radio,
consciously,
radio, audio, the way this film is pushed forward, audio, it's still not using the strength of the medium, and it could be perceived a little bit as gimmicky. And for the people who don't have, I think I have a better attention span than some people. But even for me, I found myself pausing it. Well, this is kind of pacing. I'll get to that, but it wasn't the best use of the medium. It was a creative choice. I believe it was. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think their budget was that low that it had to be told by story. But it felt like a play. You know what I mean? It's like, how does something happen? I mean, even though sometimes they'll have actors on the side display what they're saying, like through miming it, it felt like a play where a whole scene took place in one room with one lady telling a story, or over the phone, one guy telling a story, and you're just watching the characters react to it.
It could have been a play.
Probably would make a really good play, actually. That's my major concern. Do you think it's a creative choice?
I think it probably is a creative choice because of plot of the film, but they could have flashed to the stories actually happening. You're right. I found myself kind of zoning out and not watching. There were too many black screens in this movie.
Yeah, but do you think it was a parallel? Like it's about a radio, and then so we're gonna construct the film audio, so it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. And I think you're right. I don't think it was the strongest choice. And they absolutely fell into that trap of we're going to show you, not going to show you, we're going to tell. And that's that's
and without getting too spoilery, they spend 98% of the movie telling over showing. And then at the end of the movie, they show. And I actually didn't love it.
I didn't either.
So it's funny that I'm blaming it for telling over showing, and then they're like, "Here, you can see it." I'm like, I could have went without. But I applaud their uniqueness. I applaud that they took. It's not a half-assed movie. They when they made the film, they were like, "This is the direction we're taking, and for better or worse, we're going to stick to it." And they did, but it didn't land perfectly for me. I gave the plot a 3 out of 5.
I give it a 3 too. I think there's some really interesting parts, but there are some severely not interesting parts as well.
Okay, so that is a score of 6. By the way, I should say this now because I always forget to. We rate these films based on plot, pacing, acting, cinematography, and dialogue. Each one is worth 5 each from me and Charlie for a grand total of potentially 50. And then we have a ranking scale, which we'll tell you at the end, to let you know where this landed, 1 through 5. But it just kind of lets us numerically know how good the movie is in our rankings, so we can look back at the end of the year and see how the films did. So right now it stands at 6 out of 10. Moving on to the next category.
Pacing.
I don't know about you.
I'm feeling 22.
I think it took way too long to get to and from the plot points in this film.
Yes, absolutely. The phone call that kind of started things off along with the sound, I really think it was between 25 and 30 minutes in to a 90-minute film.
Yeah, it was too long. It was just too damn long. And the stuff that was not necessarily plot was not super interesting to me. Like, the world building, I could have done like 10 minutes of that, but it was more like 40.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like a 90-minute movie, 3 acts, 30 minutes an act, the stasis is the basic what's happening, and then the trigger changes the stasis. So the trigger would be the sound that they hear on the radio. We're not giving anything away. That's the whole plot of them. They hear something on the radio. So basically, the trigger, which changes the events of the film, happens at the end of Act 1 and the beginning of Act 2, which is just crazy.
Yeah, it's a long time.
A long time. And they do it, but the sad thing is they didn't need it. I was sold. Like Everett, the guy on the radio, I was in. Faye, the operator, I was in. Like the small town people, like once they got to that second car and there was like that family and they were interviewing them, I was like, I'm in. I get it. Basketball. Like, this is a small town. They all rally around an event. They all have the same type of gossip and drama, and they don't know the technology. I think that I was ready to move on during a really great scene, which I'll mention in cinematography, where they're walking down a road and the camera's like gliding behind them. That long shot. After that happened, boom, I'm ready for the action.
Yeah, I was ready to move on too. Like, there were a lot of parts I was like, okay, we can move along here. Like, that's kind of my usual kind of answer for this, though. But still, I feel justified in saying it because it was slow.
Yeah, this one I got your back 100%. And maybe that makes us babies. Maybe people say, "Oh, you don't have a," they put their nose up in the air and say, "You don't have a long enough attention span." Well, you know what? I was tired when I watched this, and I found myself consistently pausing the TV to see how much time was left.
I don't think I don't have enough attention span. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's just like at a certain point they're repeating and it's beyond funny. It's not funny. It's just like, okay, we get it. Like, I'm talking about that line they always repeat about the squirrel.
Yeah. Especially during
they repeat that
during the intro. Like,
yeah.
And it's just world building. It's like, oh yeah, this is a small town. The same news gets around, but like we got it. Like if you're gonna if it's like you can't have it both ways. You got to trust our intelligence that will pick up on this world building sooner than 30 minutes. Because if we can't pick up on it in 30 minutes, you're going to lose us for the other 60 minutes of the film. So either trust us and our attention spans will last, or don't trust us and pick up the action. You know what I mean? It's like they're trying to appease both people. I'm putting a lot of words in their mouth, but it doesn't seem to fit like what they were going for in terms of structure with the pacing.
I will give this in the middle part with the phone call and the interview. I think that transitioned pretty well. I thought that was fairly fast.
Right, but like you just said, remember in the middle, that should not have been the middle. That was the beginning of the story, so to speak. That should have been 17 minutes in, 16 minutes in, not like 30. I gave the pacing a 2, and that's a very, very generous 2.
I gave it a 1.
That's very fair as well. So that is a score of 3 plus the 6. So that is a score of 9 out of 20. Moving on.
Acting.
So I think that Jake Horowitz as Everett and Sierra McCormick as Faye, I think they were excellent. You hit on this earlier where you were talking about their language, their dialect. I mean, it was great. I bought in. This is the 1950s. Nobody took me out. The only reason I was taken out, it's so weird because there were some characters that I recognized at the beginning when you're kind of just following Everett around the town to get to know the townsfolk that you'll never see again. And there was a TV show on Netflix that used to be called Parenthood. Probably one of the most famous actors in it is Dax Shepard. But there was a grandpa in that show, and he was one of the guys that was like, when they were fixing something, and he was like, "Why'd you bring Everett here?" And like, "You said you wanted Everett." "I said I wanted Emmett." "I specifically said you wanted Everett." Like whatever. I recognize him, and that took me out, but that's not the film's fault. But the language, great. The vibe, great. The technology, like I was 100% bought in that I'm watching something happening in the 1950s.
Yes, I agree. I thought Faye was, well, okay. At first, I thought she was pretty good. Her costume was fantastic. That's not really acting, but it was a great costume. Because I saw her on the X-ray. I clicked on her profile on the X-ray, and I was like, "That's the same girl? What the fuck?" But I was watching with Stephanie a little bit, and she she kind of...
She clock out?
She wasn't watching, she was working. But she did note Faye kind of had like 2 modes, and she was kind of one note. And, I was watching it more, I was like, I think you're kind of right. Like, she had calm, kind of like, this is what we're going to do, girl. And she also had kind of like, ha ha, girl.
I like how she ran everywhere. And then Everett would go drive, and it was like that was her natural instinct. I have to get here, and then she just starts running. And he's like, well, I got a car. Like, what are you doing? And then... But it was like a common thing that happened, which was funny.
I did scream at the TV. I was like, stop fucking running.
It's just her thing, man.
I know. But I don't know. I thought she had 2 modes, and that wasn't my favorite. Emmett, he had this role, which was the deep guy in the small town.
Yeah, everybody went to him for the answers. He was the answer guy.
But that's all I saw from him.
Yeah, it was kind of like he definitely had like a he tries to be a realist during a very crazy time. There's the first story that comes in where you can definitely tell he's intrigued, but that's because you think there's evidence. And then there's an equally intriguing conversation that happens with a woman, and it's like 15 minutes of just her talking, telling the story. And at the very end, she's like, please take this paper. And he's just like, we're leaving. It's like, oh, dude, you're going to go there for that whole thing? And I don't see either one of them take it, but then they have it in another scene, that paper. They must be on that Hansel and Gretel, or Gretel and Hansel shit, where they get the paper and you don't see them use it, but it's there.
I don't know. So what'd you give
I
it?
gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was...
4 out of 5?
I thought it was very solid.
I think you watched this when you're too tired. I gave it a 2.
You gave it a 2?
I didn't think it was that strong.
That's fair. I think maybe not so much in terms of reactionary. I give it a lot of credit in that it sold the 1950s very well to me. And I think especially Jake Horowitz and like his way of talking, I thought was really excellent for the time.
They did deliver the dialogue very well.
So that is a score of 6, which puts us at 15 out of 30.
Cinematography.
Now, this movie did something really weird with the transitions, and I don't know where to knock it, so it's going to be here. I didn't like it. Did you like it or not?
Are you talking about the Twilight Zone type of thing?
The TV zooms. Yeah, I guess the Twilight Zone thing, but like where it's like going in and out of black and white, but it was like really sudden.
They even made it sound like Rod Serling was directing it. But what was it called? It wasn't. Hold on, I have it up. It was. I really thought they were going to say the Twilight Zone, but they call it Paradox Theater.
Yeah,
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum as you.
You liked it a lot?
Yeah.
Really? I did. Okay, so let me give you my piece really quick.
Yes.
I didn't like the slow zooms, and I thought it took a lot of time, ate its time out of the movie itself, and also I don't think it helped it for me. It made it also very unrealistic. Like, it made me aware it was kind of a movie.
I think similar to the telling or overshowing, I feel like that was a creative choice, and they thought for better or for worse, we're going for it, and this is the way it's going to be. I think it was like a time period thing. It's like associating the Twilight Zone with like the 50s and the 60s. It's like, we're going to go for that. Because it all happens in one night. So I think they're trying to, it's like, this is one story in one small town in one night in a little episode of this whatever the theater thing. So I thought it was unique. I give it credit for trying something interesting.
I thought that other aspects of the cinematography were pretty cool. Like, I liked the cut to shots of the faces while the stories were being told. I thought that was really neat. I also like how, like you mentioned, the camera kind of gliding. Oh, the first like 20 minutes are like one shot, and that was really cool.
Yeah, like you really got a feel of the hustle and the bustle of this small town and like their vibe and everything like that, which we already touched on, so we don't need to go into that too much. But it really was like one complete shot where the camera was just following them around.
Like, I don't know if it was actually, but it was cut that way.
It felt like it for sure. I really thought the Twilight Zone vibes really helped establish the tone and the atmosphere and kind of what to expect going into it, which is also kind of like a radio thing. Like, obviously Twilight Zone is a visual medium, but it's around the time of like when radio's at its height and everything like that. I love, we already talked about the scene for a bit, but there's a scene where they're interviewing this old woman, and you kind of hinted at this as well. The whole story about her and her personal experience with what's happening. It's a side angle shot where you're seeing her profile. Literally, I don't have a time frame. Maybe 15 minutes, maybe 30. I don't know. But she's talking and you're just seeing her profile the entire story. And at the very end, she has a request. And at that moment, it instantly shoots to a frontal shot of her. And it's jarring and it's creepy. It actually startled, it's like she's not creepy looking. And I mean, the story is creepy, but it actually startled me because it was so sudden. And you get so used to a frame for like 15 minutes that when it changes suddenly, it was kind of like, oh my God, it was jarring. And I thought that was done incredibly well. I already said I love the shot where Everett and Faye are walking down an empty street late at night and it's just gliding behind them. There's also a really, really good scene, I won't give this away, where Everett and Faye are in the back seat of a car and then something creepy happens. And it's very dark, it's very subtle, but it's done incredibly well.
Yes, I agree. I think there are some really strong elements to the cinematography. Although, that being said, I think it needs to suffer for those transitions because I didn't like them. So I'm going to give it a 3.
I don't know where to put this. I never had and this probably doesn't fit cinematography. I never had a good sense of what time it was in this movie.
Oh, I thought it was it took place during the high school basketball game. So
right. So let's say 7 to 9.
In the desert, though, or it's basketball, so it's probably winter.
Yeah, it's fall, but it for me, it felt like it was like a midnight, like it's midnight outside. It's late, and then all this takes place during a basketball game. I don't know where to hit it for that, but I never felt I understood the time. I think
it's a pacing thing.
Yeah, well, we already slammed pacing, so I won't. I thought that this was I think out of many things, I didn't love the ending though, so I was actually teetering on potentially giving it a 5, but I really did not like the ending shots and what we saw at the end. So I gave this a 4 out of 5. You gave it a 3?
I gave it a 3.
All right, that is 7, which puts us at 22 of 35. No, that can't be. 22 out of 40? Yeah, it must be 22 out of 40. I'm not good at math, y'all.
Dialogue.
If the dialogue didn't work, this film would fail. And I'm not saying this film was a raging success. I'm not saying this film was a failure. I think it took a lot of creative approaches, and it's going to live or die by those creative approaches. There will be some people, like the guy that says cinematography and dialogue. I bet he would love this movie. That's just my guess.
Brah, I think he'd like it more than I did.
I think he would very much enjoy it. If you ask a 17-year-old that plays, Call of Duty all day, he probably wouldn't like this movie. And
no, I don't think he'd like that at all.
I'm generalizing, which I hate, but I'm doing it. So it lives and dies by the sword of creativity. And if you don't like the dialogue, it's going to fail because, like we already mentioned, all of the action, all of the narrative, this narrative is pushed through dialogue. It's dialogue so you understand what the town is like, and then they hear what pushes it forward, the sound. Then they get the first phone caller that starts explaining the sound. Then they go and interview somebody, which is interview dialogue about what's going on. And then so it's like everything pushing this forward is through dialogue and conversation. So if you don't like the dialogue, you're probably going to hate this movie. We already mentioned this, the accents, the dialogue, the dialect. It was very 50s. It felt good. It was very casual sounding.
It was also southern too, which I really appreciated because it is a southern state.
Yeah, New Mexico. It's right there. And they even said that when the guy was like, it's the Russians because we're right there on the border.
Mm-hmm, which is southern border.
Yeah, it's southern border. But there's nothing immensely memorable. I know one thing that we typically do is we try and get a line. And probably the most important dialogue from this we can't repeat because it's not English.
Oh, I disagree. I remember the one line which I fucking loved, which was the one lady. She was like, "Can you run this board?" And she's like, "Honey, I don't know. Frogs hiccup about that." I was like, I lost my mind. I said it in my head like 4 times.
But would you disagree that the most memorable or the most important lines aren't English?
Yes, I would agree with that.
That's what I'm saying. We can't remember that. Because I think, for me, the most quotable thing is "Something's in the sky." Like that should be that. If I don't know what the tagline of this movie is, but that should be it. Something is in the sky, because that's just like that's like the signs. Like there's somebody on the roof. There's just like those small, simple phrases that just kind of make the hair stand up on your neck. There's something in the sky. It's like eerie, creepy. I love it. I love it.
She was describing what her cousin saw in the sky, and she was like, "It's round." I was like the moon.
Yeah. Let's get a little bit more descriptive down. Let's try fishing for some adjectives. So that's it. It felt 50s. It propelled the story forward, whether you like it or not. I like the something in the sky. That's kind of. I don't have a ton for that. Where you land
the
for this?
dialogue was my favorite part. I thought it was really creative. It reminded me a little bit of Gilmore Girls in the beginning. It was so fast and just like rapid fire. And in moments it stayed that way, but it slowed down for the stories. I thought the dialogue was probably my favorite part of this movie, actually.
Yeah. I like when... I'm always amazed when somebody's good with kids, because when Everett is talking to that girl, he's like, you're not allowed to be out here unless you're 5 years old. She's like, I just turned 6. He's like, all right, well, you lucky, because I was about to, go take you out here, and, all right, you have a little, your hair looks good, and he ruffles her hair. I'm like, man, wish I could be good with kids. That's neither here nor there.
No, it's not. But I thought, I don't know, I enjoyed the dialogue. I thought it really, if it was set at a different time, if it would have been less successful. But I thought the dialogue was very good.
I gave the dialogue a 3 out of 5.
I gave the dialogue a 5.
5 out of 5. Very nice. All right, I'm going to go through this again to make sure. But as of right now, before I look, this film got a 30 out of 50. All right, so my math was correct as I was taking it along the way. That is a 30 out of 50, which is exactly our middle ranking, which is comme ci, comme ça, which is French for so and so, which makes sense. It hit on some things really well. It took some creative leaps, which I appreciate, but it's not a movie I'm dying to get back into anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of here and there.
I would say, though, during the coronavirus, and social distancing, I know things are beginning to open up, but if you're looking for like an old, especially if you like the Twilight Zone, if you are feeling awake and you want to hear a good tale, like, for instance, you're listening to this podcast and it's all audio and you're enjoying it. So if you're enjoying this podcast, you might enjoy this film because it's very similar. There's beautifully shot moments, but the narrative is propelled audio, radio, conversation, interview, phone call. That's this movie. And a little bit of Alien.
I think especially if it's late.
Yeah. But it was fine. It was fine. It was come see, come saw. It was fine.
It was fine.
So that is our review of The Vast of Night. All right, so that is our second week cinema for June, which, by the way, I can't believe it's June.
I can't either. Next month is our year anniversary.
Yeah, we have some... I feel like I always do this now, but I'm going to do it again. We have some cool stuff happening. We have some cool, interesting stuff happening. But you don't even have to wait for next month for something cool and interesting to happen. One, hopefully you found this episode cool and interesting. But I want to say this again. Our Week 3 VIP interview next week is going to be spectacular. So make sure you check that out.
Yeah, if you did enjoy this episode, please leave a like, give us 5 stars, or even 4 stars, or don't give us 3 stars. Just 3, 4, or 5, and that's it.
Hopefully you're not... I hope you're not antagonizing people, because we did pick up a 1 star.
We did?
Yeah, I think... What if they're hearing that, and they're like, I'll show you. You don't want a 3? I'll give you a 1. What can help is if you share this with a friend. If you find somebody who likes podcasts, everybody's got that friend that likes podcasts. You know what I mean? Just be like, hey, throw them the segue, and check this out. We would appreciate that. Anyways, I'm Tyler, and that's Charlie. Did I do it right? I didn't mess it up. Normally you're like, I'm Tyler, but it's you. But this time I said it. Regardless, thank you guys for listening. As always, this is The Segue.
The best thing that happened to you on a Thursday.
It was on our counter. I was pulling the blender to make my smoothie, and then it darted towards the toaster, and I literally almost killed myself. It's outside, though. It's just a big jumping spider. No, jumping spiders aren't like that. They're like wolf spiders. They don't do the webs. Shelob with the bagels.